everyone, welcome to the He's Not Wrong podcast. I'm your host, Chad D. I feel like it's been a minute since I sat here and I did one of these. No desk, just handheld microphone. I needed to keep it casual. Um, I'm going to have to mute that. I'm going to have to keep it casual just for the sake of my energy and for what I need this podcast to be for this episode. Um, I, for a lot of you know, travel for work, and I've been out of town, I think, for maybe the past 2 to 3 weeks, and it has been, I mean, to say it's been draining as not doing what the past few weeks has been for me justice. So I was in Dallas, Texas, where I travel for work pretty often, and I was there for a week doing about 17 to 18-hour days, and then immediately came back, went on a birthday trip to the lake, and then left the lake working again, and then back to Dallas for the Miss Texas pageant under the Miss America program. So it's been exhausting, but with the exhausting comes a lot of things that I want to talk about because there are things that I've seen, things I've experienced, things that, are worthy of being on the He's Not Wrong podcast. And the first thing that I want to talk about is traveling and staying in the hotel rooms. I brought all this podcast equipment with me because I had all intentions of recording episodes while I was traveling in my hotel room. I thought it would be fun to, just do an on location episode. That's why I bought the mobile equipment. That's why I have the setup that I have so I can take it with me wherever I go. And I did bring it with me, but I was so tired and so busy. I was just like, when I got in my hotel room, I was like, if I do a podcast right now, I will not be doing it justice. And I don't want to waste your time. I most definitely don't want to waste my time. And so I was like, I'll just wait till I get back to Birmingham and can just download on He's Not Wrong with all of you about the things that, I experienced. And so one of the things that I had written down in my notes was something that has to do with hotel rooms. And so I need to start out. We're 3 minutes in, and I'm giving you the first thing that I'm not wrong about. I'm not wrong that hotels need to stop putting sliding doors on their bathrooms. I feel very strongly about this. If you want to have a sliding door in your own home for a bedroom or a bathroom, that's great. By all means, do what you need to do to decorate your home to your liking. But in a hotel room, the space is usually less than 400 square feet, and I need a functioning bathroom door. It does not matter if I'm alone or if someone is in the hotel room with me. There needs to be no sliding door. And that's for a multitude of reasons. When you look at the sliding door on hotel room bathrooms, there's usually a pretty significant gap between the bathroom and the door. And so we all know what happens in a bathroom. I don't need those sights and those smells to come creeping through that crack of the barn door or the sliding barn door and the bathroom wall. Like I need that to be sealed off. And then number two, every bathroom in a hotel, I think it's ADA compliance, has some kind of light triggered night light, and it doesn't turn off in the dark. I mean, I get the need for it, but that gap allows for the light to creep out. That needs to not be a thing. We need to get rid of the sliding barn door for the sights, the smells, the light creeping through. It's just disruptive altogether. And then my third point for getting rid of the barn doors in the hotel rooms, why I'm very annoyed about why they exist, is the fact that when I'm in hotels, I do not care, and sorry to the environmentalists out there, but I do not care about how much water I'm using or how hot my shower is. The days have been so long. I just want to sit in the shower and completely steam that bathroom up to where I cannot see 3 inches in front of my face. That's how hot I need that shower to be. So with all that steam, again, I need the door to be sealed off so it's not making my hotel room humid, but the steam just seeps through that crack because the sliding barn doors. Yes, it might aesthetically look good, but it is not functional. And I really need the Marriott hotel brand to do something about it, because I don't understand how that could be cost effective for you or saving you money. If anything, I think it might be making you spend more money in your electricity bill, because the thermostat is usually right next to the sliding barn door. I'm taking 500 degree showers, and then that steam is, hitting that thermostat, making that temperature go up, making that AC constantly run. And that's a whole nother thing, that the AC constantly running in this old apartment. I have it in my notes. Mental note, you guys, we're going to circle back on this. But the AC running is a topic that I'm very passionate about right now. So that's my gripe number one with traveling right now. It's the sliding barn doors and hotel rooms. They just need to stop. So I wrote all of these notes about a week ago for what I wanted this episode to be. And I saw this TikTok on one of my flights out to Dallas when I was just, bored, connected to the Wi-Fi, trying to watch as many TikToks as I can as we're getting ready to take off. And someone said, for smaller podcasts that are starting out, it's a very intimate thing. Think of it as you have this weekly small group lunch that people are coming to listen to you speak. And that really meant a lot to me, because a lot of times, like, I see the numbers, I see the interactions on TikTok, and the TikTok, we're going to get into that, but TikTok, I can physically see who is interacting with my content. Instagram, same thing. But for the actual podcast episodes, all I see are numbers. I don't see anything else. And so thinking of it as this time that I have with all of you, and it's this intimate thing that we have a small group where we talk every single week, it really meant a lot to me. So if you're listening to this episode, I just wanted to take this as a moment to show gratitude, to say thank you for joining me each week and giving me a little bit of your time each day and sitting down with me and having the small group session with me. It does mean a lot to me. So I know I just said we're going to talk about TikTok, and I need to say that all the content on this podcast, I do upload in bite-sized, digestible pieces that go up onto TikTok. And in the last episode, or maybe 2 episodes ago, was part 1 where Savannah Bananas are drag for straight people. And there's the co-host. I think he might be jumping up soon. If the camera's wobbling, if you're watching this on YouTube, I apologize. He's scratching himself on the tripod. But the Savannah Bananas are drag for straight people episode. I took that clip and I was like, you know what? I think it might do well on TikTok. Let's put it up. Well, 250,000 people later, and tens of thousands of comments and shares and likes, I can say that I definitely did hit a nerve with that video. And so I feel like it's worth talking about and addressing officially in this podcast, because so many comments on that clip was saying, well, what about WWE? What about the Harlem Globetrotters? You're taking away from the legacy and the history of the paths that they have paved for the Savannah Bananas to be able to do what they're doing. And I just need it to be said for the permanent record, for everyone to go back to listen to when we're 2 years out on He's Not Wrong, and this comes up again. Hopefully not. But I was not writing a comprehensive history paper on the Savannah Bananas. I was not laying out every bit of influence and every single thing that has allowed them to get to the place that they are at in sports. I was simply just drawing a through line from drag to what the Savannah Bananas, what they do. And that holds true. It does not take away from what the Harlem Globetrotters have done in order to allow the Savannah Bananas to be able to do what they do. And same with WWE. There are a lot of influences that go into what makes people be able to do what they do, and for the performance art aspect of it to be influenced over the years. And yes, the Harlem Globetrotters are a part of what allows the Savannah Bananas to, do what they do. But so does drag. I was just simply hitting on that one topic and that one subject. So that's what I needed to say about that. I will say target audience reach. We can, check that off the list. We reached our target audience. I can confirm that the Savannah Bananas did see that TikTok. They did not like it, but multiple players did favorite it. I don't know what that means, but I know they saw it. So I hope they know it was in good fun. I did not mean anything negative by it. It was only positive. And yeah, let's take a break. And we are back. There's a theme here. It's all has to do with traveling. And here's another thing that I'm not wrong about. I don't like you if you're the person who has a window seat on a flight and I'm in the middle seat and you close that little curtain thing, that blind, that divider, whatever you want to call it, if you close that, and extra points on my dislike of you, if you close it before the plane even takes off, you have an obligation to at least keep it half cracked for me. I don't know why, but recently, I mean, I guess I know why because we have all seen the news, but I've had really bad travel anxiety or specifically flight anxiety for the past few months. And when I'm flying, like say Southwest, because it's the easiest flight to get in and out of Birmingham to Dallas on, if I'm in that middle seat and I don't have an option to have a window seat, I need that window cracked because I need to see that when we're taking off. I need to have eyes on the ground. I need to make sure that we're not upside down. I need to make sure that we're not nose diving. I need to make sure that we are level. I know that if we are not level or if we are upside down or we are nose diving, there are very few things that I can do to help that situation out. But I'm someone, I need to see it. I need to know what's happening, even if I have no control over the situation. There might not be any situation, but I still need to know. I need to have eyes on the ground. I need to make sure that we're even with the clouds. I cannot handle taking off and landing with that little blind closed. I can handle a little bit better when we're in the air, but as long as you like crack it a few times so I can just make sure things are good, then we're good. There's no issue there. But my collar has been popped this entire time. This is why I don't like having to record videos for the podcast. Oh God, I apologize to all of you who are watching it. That was so unprofessional, but we're about 15 minutes in at this point, and I'm not gonna restart this because of a wardrobe malfunction, but we're talking about airplanes, we're talking about travel. And so that's what I'm not wrong about. I don't like you if you're the person on the window seat who is blocking the outside view for everyone else on your row. And I think my travel anxiety is justified. This isn't in my notes. I have my notes right there. If you see me looking down, I'm making sure I'm hitting all my points. But I think my travel anxiety is justified because, for instance, I flew back this morning from Dallas for being out there just for Miss Texas last night. And we were landing in Birmingham. And thank God the woman next to me on that flight, she had the blind up. So I can see we're landing. It's normal, or so I thought. We were coming out the runway, and I swear to God, we were like this. We were, for the listeners, so you can have a visual, we were landing normally, and then it just dropped like a pebble, like a rock, like a boulder onto that runway. And it was hard. Gasps and little shrieks were let out in that cabin. And I made eye contact with the woman next to me, and I was like, that wasn't normal. I said, that was not normal, was it? And she goes, no. I've had some rough landings, and that was up there. There was no bad weather. Crosswinds, I don't think were an issue because it was a fairly smooth flight, no turbulence. So I don't know why it was such a hard landing and why we just kind of, hit that runway like hard, but I did not like it. So much so that the flight attendant got on the intercom. She did not say, "Welcome to Birmingham. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your trip." Hope you had a nice flight." She got on that intercom. She goes, "Well, if you didn't know, we're here." Okay. And also, usually on all these flights, the pilots open the door and they stand there and say, "Have a good day. Thank you. Thank you for flying with us." They did not do that. They did not come out of the cockpit. That cockpit door stay closed. And the only reason that I could come to in my head is they were a little embarrassed by that landing, and so they didn't want to face all of the passengers, which I can understand. I can respect that. I would probably do the same thing. Um, but it just therefore again justified my flight anxiety and also justified that it was a very abnormal landing. I was not a fan. Being out in Dallas made me realize a few things. I'm very much a city person. I love New York City, lived in Washington, D.C., lived in downtown Denver. I love a city. But there's something about Dallas, and I know Dallas is one of the largest cities in America, but there's something about Dallas that just really sits wrong with me. And I was talking to someone recently about it, and I was like, it's such a big city, but it's so spread out that it's not accessible almost. Like, yes, it's a big city, but I don't have access to all parts of the city and like in a reasonable amount of time. It takes forever to get from point A to point B, and everything's kind of like in its own little community. And so, uh, what I don't like about Dallas is the fact that it is very much suburbia. I've learned in the past few weeks that I do not sit well with places that are suburbia. And so that is, really helping me realize that with this lease and this godforsaken apartment is up, that the world is my oyster, but I know what cities I can check off on the list, and that's okay. Just the suburbs, cities that are made for the suburbs, it's not for me. I'm talking about this god awful apartment. And I said we were going to circle back to it, and it is time that we circle back to when I was talking about my AC running all the time. If you recall, I talked about on this podcast previously the power bill that I had from either January or February. It was upwards of like 460, 480 bucks. And it was insane because the heat, my apartment had no insulation. The windows have cracks in them. It is a mess. So the cold air like comes in so fast, the apartment can't stay heated. And that was in the winter. And so now we're in the dead middle of summer and the same thing's happening, but opposite. The AC is constantly running and it will not get cool. If I have it set to 72, the coolest my apartment will get is 75. And so the AC is constantly running to try to get to 72, but it can't because the insulation and the energy efficiency of this apartment is just piss poor. And I've had it. H2 Properties, you are on my list. You are on my list. I emailed them last week and I put in a maintenance request. They came, they said, "Hey, no, your AC is good. It'll cool off soon." It did not cool off. I put in another maintenance request. Nothing happened. So I called, I texted. It's near impossible to get them on the phone. That's first off. It's near impossible to get them on the phone. But then when you do get them on the phone, good luck. Good luck getting any resolution to what you need. So long story short, they told me that they were going to come, they're going to check out my windows, and they're going to check out the actual like AC unit that is outside the apartment. They looked at the one in the closet, whatever, but they were going to look at the one outside, and then they're going to check out all my windows to look at like the ceiling and all that kind of stuff. Do you think they came? The answer is no, they did not come. So before we started recording this podcast, I fired off a pretty wordy email to them to be like, look, you ain't getting my rent if my power bill is in the $400 range again, because I raised these flags. I cannot afford a power bill of that level ever again. And it's ridiculous that my power bill would be of that for someone who owns like a 3,000 square foot home. That's not okay. It's not acceptable. So that's why I was complaining about the AC running in this apartment. I'm currently in a fight with my apartment complex, and I'll let you know how it goes. I'm really worried about when I was out there for Miss Dallas, not being able to control the AC and how often it was running and what that usage is going to be, because I had no control over it while I was out of town for the past few weeks. Talking about money and talking about Miss Texas in Dallas. I will say last night at Miss Texas, this is a pretty awful pivot as well. I apologize. We're just kind of all over the place in this episode. But when I was out there for Miss Dallas last night, it was for the finals. I was not there for the prelims. And I have to preface this with saying I know that these girls have sponsors, they have dress sponsors, they have directors who often subsidize costs of their clothing and outfits. But when I was there last night, and for those who aren't aware, I'm going to get to the point, I swear. But for those who aren't aware with pageants, at the finals night, you start out by announcing the top 12. And then they do their thing through like health and fitness, through talent, interview, evening gown, and then they announce the top 5. And they have like one final question. But all top 12 get to compete in their evening gown in finals. And I'm just thinking, I feel these girls spend anywhere from like $5,000 to $30,000 on their dresses. And there's sometimes anywhere between like 40 and 90 girls competing for a state title. And they're spending all that money for a dress not to wear it or compete in it or to make a top in it. I know that it's a risk that they are assuming, that they're taking, that they're saying that they're okay with taking that risk and that monetary risk, for a lack of a better word. But I feel so bad for them. There were some girls last night who, because everyone gets to put on their dress at one point, so they are walking in the stage for about 30 seconds in their dress, all the girls. But God, I could not help but think that they spent so much money on these dresses and they didn't even get to compete in them. It makes me feel really bad. It really does. It's the empath in me, I think. One of the final things that I want to talk about before we get into just one headline and one little viewer submission of a what you're not wrong about is something I wrote down around Father's Day. And I haven't recorded since around Father's Day anyway. So I know this on social media is not going to be like SEO optimized because it's so far past. That holiday is far gone. But one thing that I do want to talk about, and I would say that this is this is at pandemic and epidemic, whatever you want to say, levels. It is a problem, and it's something that I'm not wrong about. I'm not wrong that women look for every excuse in the book to post their wedding photos. Father's Day, wedding photos. I don't know, Christmas, you're going to see a wedding photo. Easter, Christ is risen, wedding photo. Grandma's funeral, wedding photo. It does not matter how long ago the wedding was. A lady will always find an excuse and a reason to post her wedding photos. That's your right. We live for now in a semi-free country. We'll see what the next few weeks looks like. So that is your right for now, barring any Supreme Court decisions that come out. But nothing will change my mind that a woman will always find an excuse and a reason to post her wedding photos. Any holiday, any event, a child's preschool graduation, you best bet that there's going to be a wedding photo posted during that occasion. So it was just shocking to me on Father's Day. It was like, if you didn't know it was Father's Day in a foreign country and your FYP or your algorithm on Facebook and Instagram was just like all Americans, you would have thought that it was like the day that, like a historic day that everyone was getting married. I could not escape seeing so many wedding photos. And it just made me think, yeah, looking back at it, every single event, every single holiday, a woman will post a wedding photo. No hate, no shade, no tea. Do you, boo. But get your money's worth. And we are going to take another break. And we are back from our final break. And this is where I want to talk about the headline. It's not a very controversial headline, but it is a headline that I have been dying to talk about because it was announced by I guess the Trump family that they were coming out with the Trump phone, the MAGA phone. It's going to be like I guess an Android that looks like it's gold plated with an American flag on the back. And yeah, they're coming out with a phone plan to rival these big phone companies. And I need to say this in the most non-political way that I can, because I need this to reach the far left and I need it to reach the far right. And I hope it hits with the people in the middle. If you switch from ATT, Verizon, T-Mobile, Mint, whatever you have, and you switch to MAGAphone, do not text me. Do not call me. Nothing personal. Don't take it personal. But I do not want you contacting me. Okay? I just watched this little documentary digital short about how someone snuck out a phone out of North Korea and how the government provides the phone to the people, but it is so censored. There's like a special file that's locked that downloads all of your activities that then gets uploaded to the government so they can see what you're searching on the internet, to see what your text messages are saying, to see who you're calling, to see what you're looking at on social media. And then it's even programmed to the point that if you type a certain word, it will autocorrect to the word that they want you to be using. Like it has banned words that I guess if it's looks like it's slang or something that can be from like the Western world, like they have those words blocked, and then that puts in a word that they would prefer you to use. Actually, they're not prefer, but they're forcing you to use. So for people who want less government and smaller government and less government interference, I don't know if the MAGAphone is the right choice for you, but I can guarantee you that you will be granting them access to information that you do not want them having. And I do not want to be involved in that information that they will be receiving from that MAGA gold phone. And so this is just my warning. This is my warning. If you make that switch to that phone plan, do not contact me. Delete my contact. I do not want to be in that phone. I'm very happy with my T-Mobile switch a few weeks ago. That's where I'm going to stay. I'll be messaging all my friends and people on the big carriers. Do not talk to me if you have that MAGAphone. This is your warning. So I'm going to do something just a tad bit different right now because, as most of you know, I usually end these episodes, the solo episodes, with stuff that stuff that you're not wrong about. They're voice memos, they're voicemails that, people send in about what you're not wrong about. I play them, I react to them. So today's going to be a little different because I put on my story on Instagram, tell me what you're not wrong about. And I got some responses. And there's one in particular that I find very interesting because Nick from I don't know where, but Nick said toilet paper must be racked where the sheets fall from the top, all caps, no matter what. And I was like, yeah, you know what? That is so true. Nick, you are not wrong. If you have a toilet paper and like a toilet paper holder or on like that little stick thing that's like next to the toilet and like you just like kind of like slide it on and off, it needs to be falling from over the top. That's the only thing that makes sense. It's controlled. It's humane. It makes sense. It doesn't feel wrong. So like I absolutely agree with that statement. And when I was in Dallas for work about a week and a half ago, I was talking to my coworkers about the podcast, and I was telling them about how people have been submitting things that they're not wrong about, and how I'm going to do a little different format of how I'm going to end the episode. And I told them, Nick said he's not wrong that toilet paper has to be racked, fall, over the top. One of my coworkers brought to my attention that the original patent for toilet paper shows that it is meant to fall over the top. There is no dispute. There is no question that Nick is not wrong about toilet paper needing to fall over the top. because that is the way that it was meant to be. Literally was in the patent application when toilet paper was being invented. And then I like questioned. I was like, "Are you serious?" And then they downloaded the patent and they showed it to me. They showed me the design. I was like, there is no question. There's no doubt. That is how toilet paper is supposed to be. When I was thinking about this episode, before I was talking to my coworkers, I was like, what am I going to say on that? Because he's not wrong, but what commentary do I have to add to that? And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I have anxiety because if I'm at someone's house and it's falling under, it's going under the toilet paper, not over. I'm like, I have an obligation. I have an obligation to switch it to the correct way. But then I'm like, are they going to know? Are they going to judge? What are they going to think? Are they ever going to invite me over again? I can't leave this restroom without switching it to the proper way. But what right do I have, even though I think I have all the right, but what right do I have to do that in someone else's home? So this is the justification. The patent that was submitted and approved for toilet paper shows that it has to go over the top. So if you're ever in someone's home, if you're ever in a store, a public restroom, or in a workplace, and you see toilet paper being used in an improper way, please fix it. Do it the right legal way. You know, there's no question. I'm so glad we have that resolved. I'm really happy that he submitted that one. That was the main one that I wanted to talk about. We got a few others. Someone said pineapple belongs on pizza. Agree. Used to think it was gross, but then I actually tried it, and it's just one of those things that if you know, and if you don't know, then don't comment on it because you can't knock it till you try it. Don't yuck my yum, as I like to say. And then Mallory, you might remember Mallory from a few episodes ago, Miss America 2013, said mayonnaise is a superior condiment. I have to say she is wrong. Most of you know that Mallory was inspiration for this podcast years ago. It was originally going to be She's Not Wrong, and then she went on and did her own thing with Pretty Furious with her friend Maggie. So I feel very empowered right now saying, Mallory Hagan, you for once are wrong. Mayonnaise is not a superior condiment. I can understand that it is a good condiment. It is a necessary condiment at best. Like I don't want to eat a dry sandwich, and so I can understand that a little bit of mayonnaise can moisten the bread enough to make it enjoyable. But the flavor, the texture, knowing that it's like egg yolk and oil, that's freaky. That is freaky. So to say it's a superior condiment, I think is a stretch. I know that mayonnaise is the base in sauces like the cane sauce or at Guthrie's or Zaxby's. It is a good base, but that's not how you worded your comment. You said mayonnaise is a superior condiment. You did not say why. And so I'm not assuming that you're saying because it makes a good base in other condiments. I'm just taking it for face value. Mayonnaise, like dipping your fries in mayonnaise? No. Mm-mm. Only putting mayonnaise on your sandwich? Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Really lathering it onto whatever you eat? Mm-mm. We were going to have a talk about this. Miss Ma'am, we're going to have a long talk about this because I have some feelings and we're running out of time for this episode. So thank you to everyone who did comment and leave comments about what you're not wrong about. I'll do it every week. I'll leave a little caption box up on Instagram so y'all can let me know. You can also DM me on the He's Not Wrong podcast Instagram account. Send me a voice memo. Send me a DM about what you're not wrong about. Or if you feel so inclined, you could always call 205-538-3202 and leave me a voicemail about what it is that you're not wrong about. And again, that phone number is 205-538-3202. Hopefully now that all these travels are done, we're going to be getting back into a regular cadence of posting. I know I said that last week, but there are still travels to be had. So we're going to get into a regular cadence of posting. There's going to be another episode this week, and there'll be another episode next Sunday that I hope you tune in for. Please leave a comment, leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It helps me out greatly. And with all of that being said, I hope you have a fabulous start to your work week. And I hope whatever your day you're listening this on. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye.